Part 40. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyu and Candy. Chapter 391. Ms. Niu is sincerely grateful to Zhang Ziluo and the Kui family. Zhang Ziluo was also happy for Niu after hearing this. She knew that Aunt Niu was a bad-mouthed person, but she had a good heart. She is also eager to help whenever the Kui family has something to do. Zhang Ziluo smiled and said, "Aunt Niu, your clothes are pretty good looking. You look even younger when you wear them." When Niu heard this, he laughed from ear to ear. "You said it looks good, I believe it. If it were in the past, I wouldn't be willing to buy it. This dress fits me very well. Years ago, I even bought some new cloth and gave it to my parents, brothers, and sister-in-law. Not to mention how happy they were. I also brought some brown sugar back, so I feel decent when I go back." Mr. Niu looked proud as she spoke, mainly because she was happy in her heart. "I feel like she is now capable of being filial to her parents." After she got married and had a child, when she returned to her parents' home, she could not bring many things with her. Although she wanted to fulfill her filial piety, her ability was limited at that time. At most give some food. Her father, mother, brother, and sister-in-law also brought her some cooked food, doing what they wanted. Moreover, my brother and sister-in-law also have 2 children, both of whom are in their mid-teens when they are most able to eat. Years ago, she bought meat and the whole family was happy. I think my parents can also eat meat dumplings." Just thinking about it made Niu feel at ease, and she was grateful to Zhang Ziluo. Zhang Ziluo asked her to sit down and talk. Mrs. Kui and Kui Kinkai both hurriedly got snacks and candies for Shan Mao. Shan Mao looked at Niu. Niu said, "What your Aunt Kui and your sister Kui have given you, just take it." Niu was not polite either. Shan Mao took the snacks and candies and was very happy. He ate in small bites with a bright smile on his face. Calling Auntie crisply and saying thank you. After talking for a while, Mrs. Zhao came over with her 2 grandsons. According to the custom in the village, Mrs. Zhao is senior, so others go to say hello to her. But Mrs. Zhao doesn't want to follow those rules at this time. She wants to come to Kui's house to express her gratitude in person. Old Mrs. Zhao was extremely excited when she saw Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin coming back. Also speaks to express gratitude. Zhang Ziluo brought snacks to Zhao Dalin and Zhao Erlin. Mr. Niu naturally also said hello to Mrs. Zhao, and everyone also greeted each other with New Year greetings. Mrs. Zhao happily said to Mrs. Kui, "After the Chinese New Year, Dalin will be 15 years old. I was originally worried about the family's conditions for telling him about his wife. Before last year, many people inquired about marrying Dalin. I used to have a little sister who had a very good granddaughter, and everyone knows her well. Her family situation is also good, and her family has a lot of land. She looks upright and has a good temper. I have seen her before. She got engaged 2 years ago, and she will be married to Dalin after the Chinese New Year." Mrs. Kui was very happy when she heard this. "That's great. Yes, Dalin is married, so I feel relieved." In the past, this was Mrs. Zhao's concern. The Zhao family has little food and clothing, and little land. Zhao Dalin's parents are gone, and they have no parents to help them. Indeed, many families will be unhappy. Unexpectedly, this problem does not exist now. The conditions are also good, so naturally we don't pay much attention to these things. Old Mrs. Kui knows what's going on in the Zhao family. Mrs. Zhao sighed with emotion. "Thanks to the fact that I can make brown sugar at home now, I have earned some money, and I can also use the money as a gift," so I gave her 2 taels of silver. There are indeed many families in the village who can spare 2 taels of silver. Mr. Niu asked, "Aunt Zhao, how are you doing with this family? Don't do it for our secret recipe of brown sugar." Old Mrs. Zhao smiled and said, "Don't worry, they are all well-informed and well-informed people. In the past, the Zhao family was like this, and my good sister often helped them." Niu felt relieved after hearing this. Then good, it's good to be from a good family. Don't look at what our village is like now, you have to believe that our village will get better and better. Old Mrs. Zhao's eyes were so happy that her eyes turned into slits with laughter. Zhao Dalin's face was a little red and shy. Everyone talked and laughed for a while, and Mrs. Zhao wanted to go home quickly. "Let Dalin and Erlin go to the house to say hello first. I will go to the house to look after the house. Don't wait for other people to come to the house to say hello. There is no one at home." Old Mrs. Zhao hurried back. Mr. Niu looked at the neat way Mrs. Zhao walked and said with a smile, "I see that Aunt Zhao is in much better health." Mrs. Kui said, "Probably the conditions are better, my worries are not so heavy, and my health will be better." Niu nodded and said, "No, I listened to Zhiluo's words before and paid attention to eating when I went back. Although we can't eat well every meal, at least we have to eat enough. I also make some white rice and noodles from time to time." The child's father is in much better health. Mr. Niu still remembers that her husband Lu Kangnong broke his arm when he was busy, and Zhiluo helped to heal it. He said that he had to eat well to be full so that his body would be strong. Niu had a conversation here, and seeing other people in the village coming over, she took Shan Mao and went back first. Anyway, she just found out that Zhiluo will be at home in the first month of the year, and it will be the same as coming over in the first month to talk. This is the time when everyone is paying New Year greetings, and she can't always occupy the time. But Mrs. Kui also gave Shan Mao a red envelope, and Niu was very grateful. The next step is for everyone in the village to say hello. Seeing Zhang Zhiluo and Kui Hejin coming back, they were all excited and happy, and talked a lot. Li Zheng's daughter-in-law, Mrs. Zhu, also brought Joseoxi and Joseahe to pay New Year's greetings. When children from the village come, Mrs. Kui gives them red envelopes and extra candies and snacks. The adults just grabbed some candies and snacks to eat. The children were very happy when they got the candy. He was reluctant to eat it, so he took it home first. Just like this, we were saying New Year greetings and talking, and soon it was getting dark. The sound of firecrackers continued, and most of the people Kui Hejin and Zhang Zhiluo had already seen them, so they didn't go out to say hello. However, the two of them also felt the lively atmosphere of the village celebrating the festival. Have breakfast after setting off firecrackers to greet the New Year. After breakfast, it was also free time, and several girls from the village also came to play. Mainly during New Year greetings, Kui Kinkai talked to them and warmly invited them to come and play at home. So everyone is not bored and plays cards. The girls were also very excited. They didn't expect there to be such interesting playing cards. Kui Hejin and Zhang Zhiluo took their things and went to Xinshan village. In the middle of the morning, everyone in the village celebrates the New Year, and they only visit relatives on the second day of the first lunar month. So I'm not busy anymore. Kui Hejin and Zhang Zhiluo came to their parents' house in Xinshan village with their things, as well as many things prepared by Mrs. Kui. Zhang Xiangchuan and Yeshi were very excited when they saw Zhang Zhiluo and Kui Hejin coming. Of course they received the news yesterday that Zhang Zhiluo and Kui Hejin were back well, but they were still worried about them even though they didn't see them. Now that they are doing well, I feel relieved. Zhang Yunchu and the others even called them sister and brother-in-law. Haunted around Zhang Zhiluo and Kui Hejin. Zhang Zhiluo was surprised when she saw that Zhang Yunchu was a head taller than herself. "Yunchu, I haven't seen you for a few months. How have you grown so tall?" I jumped up all of a sudden. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 392. Moreover, Zhang Zhiluo also found that her younger brother was more mature and steady, with an elegant and humble temperament. Everyone is 1 year older after the Chinese New Year, and Zhang Ziluo is already 16 years old. The second brother is also 15 years old. Zhang Yunchu even smiled sheepishly. Not only Zhang Yunchu has grown taller, but his other younger brothers and sisters have also grown taller. Zhang Ziluo was talking to her younger brothers and sisters, especially when she saw Xianxian. Zhang Ziluo hugged him and her heart felt soft. She and Kui Hejin also brought many gifts to everyone. They were chatting and laughing around Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin, and they were all very excited. The family became more lively because of the arrival of Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin. While talking, Zhang Xiangchuan also poured tea. Zhang Xiangchuan's legs and feet have already recovered a long time ago, and he can walk very neatly. Now that Zhang Ziluo looked carefully, she could see that her father was a practicing martial artist and was undoubtedly good at martial arts. In the past, she had some speculation about the identity of her parents. Now that she knows her life experience, she understands many things in her heart, and she also understands that it is actually for her own good that her parents didn't say anything. So Zhang Ziluo didn't mention anything else. Just looking at my parents and younger brothers and sisters makes me happy. Ye held Zhang Ziluo's hand and looked up and down to make sure she was okay. Then she felt really relieved and said, "It's good that you guys are back. It's still worrying to be outside." "Mom, don't worry, you and Dad, nothing will happen to us." Ye looked at Zhang Ziluo's increasingly beautiful appearance, and seemed to vaguely see someone through her. She was in a daze for a moment, as if she wanted to say something, but hesitated, but she finally changed the subject and said, "Whatever you want to eat for lunch, Mom will make it for you." Yes, love and care for Zhang Ziluo was no less than that of her younger brothers and sisters. When they were at home before, the person Zhang Xiangchuan and Ye were most partial to was Zhang Ziluo. Zhang Ziluo can feel these. "Mom, let me cook." "How can that be done? You have just been back for 2 days and you haven't had enough rest yet. How can I let you work? Just tell mother what you want to eat and you can just go and rest." How could Mr. Ye be willing to let Zhang Ziluo help with work? I wish Zhang Ziluo could rest. Zhang Ziluo is very familiar with her mother's words. When she was little, she wanted to help with something, but her parents were reluctant to let her do it. But he was afraid that she would not know anything, so he asked her to learn how to burn fire, take care of herself, and learn some daily skills. Once she learns, don't let her work deliberately to make her tired. They also had good intentions in educating her. Thinking of many details from her childhood, Zhang Ziluo felt warm in her heart. "Mom, don't be tired, I will accompany you and talk to you." "Okay, let's talk." Xianxian also clung to Zhang Ziluo, and Zhang Ziluo hugged him. Kui Hejin accompanied Zhang Yunchu and others to talk. Zhang Xiangchuan was sitting next to him, smiling happily and remaining silent without saying much. He just likes to see the whole family lively, and feels warm and happy even without talking. "Years ago, I specially bought some New Year's goods. Now our family's conditions are better. Your father can earn money without doing much work. It's just those bellows, trolley umbrellas, etc. Your dad is not tired from doing these. It's all thanks to you teaching your dad to do these. Every time we go to Yanglia village to rush, we go to the collection. Now many people know us. Every time we rush the collection, we will buy our onion oil cakes, saying that the green onion cakes we make are delicious. Eat, I feel happy. I have saved a lot of money at home. You don't need to bring so many things with you when you go home. There are many places where you need to use money, so be economical." Although Zhang Ziluo didn't say anything, yes, she guessed that the child might have remembered something. Otherwise, I would not have gone to Zhangzhou to help His Highness Taijun. Zhang Ziluo said seriously, "Mom, thank you and Dad for these years." Yes, eyes heated up. "You kid, why are you so polite to your parents? No matter what you want to do, your parents will support you. It's just that you must take care of yourself and pay attention to safety." Zhang Ziluo said, I think Yun Shu is 15 years old. Has he gone to the academy to study now? Yes, said, both Yun Shu and Yun Zhen went to the academy to study. Mrs. Jiao taught them very well. He Jin's friend named Lu Ting'an was studying in the academy and he took good care of your two younger brothers. They didn't understand anything when they first went there. It was Lu Ting'an who took the initiative to explain many things to them, including some things about the academy. Soon they became familiar with the academy. Xian is still young. He is 6 years old. After the New Year we are thinking of sending him to a private school after the Chinese New Year and the beginning of spring. It is the Shishi school where he Jin taught before. Zhang Ziluo listened to this and nodded, that's good. When the grandson becomes the emperor, he will definitely open up a wide range of civil servants and select talents through the imperial examination. My younger brothers should study more so that they can use their talents after the imperial examination. Of course they don't want to be officials in the future and do other things. As long as they like it, they can do business. Ye and Zhang Xiangchuan have also seen the changes in the Wei family. Although the grandson is doing well now, they are also very clear-minded and think that the children can do whatever they like. They won't restrict that much. Even if you are an official, you may have a high status and a good reputation, but it also comes with risks. In fact, they are now living in Xinshan village, living and working in peace and contentment, with enough food to eat and warm clothes to wear. Daily life is busy but stable and fulfilling. Third sister Yun Hua is 14 years old after the Chinese New Year. Time flies so fast, girls are already getting haircut at the age of 15. Mom, have you ever thought about letting your sister learn something? Yes, she thought for a while and said, ask her what she likes to do and she doesn't know. I think she is very careful in making food and clothes. Your third sister is gentle, meticulous, and patient. I'm thinking whether I should let her learn weaving and then buy her a loom. Here, if a girl can weave, she is very capable. And looms are not cheap. Many families who love their girls will let the girl take away the loom as a dowry when she gets married. It's just that not many people can afford looms. Of course the conditions in Yanglia village are good, and some young ladies know how to weave. Yip's previous knowledge was kung fu. But she doesn't want to teach her two daughters martial arts, she just wants them to live a stable life. There is no need to fight and kill. She knows that Ziluo is smart and different from before, so she will also ask Ziluo what she thinks. Zhang Ziluo thought for a while and said, Mom, I think weaving is hard-earned money, and sometimes I have no time to spare all day long. And when it comes to weaving, you can't do some rough work for fear that your hands will be rough and wear down the cloth. Zhang Ziluo hopes that her sister can learn some skills and feel more comfortable. Embroidery is actually possible, but embroidery is your eyes. As if thinking of something, Zhang Ziluo's eyes lit up and she said, Mom, I'm thinking of a handicraft, which is making velvet flowers. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Space Doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Candy. Chapter 393. When he heard the velvet flowers, Yes' heart was moved. I know that velvet flowers are something that ladies and girls from aristocratic families wear on their heads. They are very valuable and I heard that the method of making them is extremely complicated. Even though Mr. Ye didn't know much about these things before, he had heard of them. At that time, only ladies in the imperial palace and ladies from noble families in the capital would buy velvet flowers to wear. Ordinary people don't know how to do it, and the things are expensive. You can't see these things in private shops and stalls. But it's really beautiful. Ye was quite impressed when thinking about the appearance of velvet flowers. Zhang Ziluo smiled and said, Mom, I can make velvet flowers. So I can teach my sister how to make velvet flowers. I think Sanmei has a delicate and quiet temperament, can sit still, and is patient in doing things, so she is suitable for being a velvet flower. If you want to make velvet flowers, you can do it in your spare time. You don't have to sit there and weave like weaving. If you have something to do, it won't affect you at all when you come back. Moreover, it is purely handmade, so you can take the time to do something even if you are on the road, so the flexibility is relatively high. Furthermore, this kind of craftsmanship is relatively scarce. Once it is made, many people will buy it and the price will be expensive. If my sister has the skill, she won't have to worry about eating anywhere. Ye said happily, yes, the craftsmanship is still good. A craftsman will never die of hunger in a famine year. As if thinking of something, Ye said, Zilo, if you know this kind of craftsmanship, you can keep it for yourself and don't need to teach it to your sister. You have done enough for your family. When she asked Zilo before, she was just thinking about weaving, not so much. Ye felt guilty again. It feels like Zilo has done a lot for the family since she grew up. On the other hand, they didn't do much for Zilo. Mom, you are not polite to me. I don't have time for this. You need to calm down to do this, so it's better to teach my sister. Originally, Zhang Zilo thought about teaching her sister a craft to make a living. It just so happens that my sister is turning 14 after the Chinese New Year, and it is more important to have a craft. Moreover, her parents, brothers and sisters are developing well, so she doesn't have to worry about this place. Had they not been outside, she still couldn't help but miss them. In this way, Zhang Zilo planned to take time out to teach Yunhua in the first month of the year. Since the two villages are close to each other and there are many rooms in the house, Zhang Zilo plans to ask Yunhua to take some time to go to Xingshan village to find her, just in time to teach her how to do this. As for Yunmen's cheerful temperament, she was also interested in her medical skills before. So Zhang Zilo brought a detailed book on herbal identification this time. It can help Yunmen identify herbs. If she is good at these, she can teach her some medical skills in the future. Ye made a sumptuous lunch at noon. The whole family had a great time eating. After lunch and cleaning up, Zhang Zilo thought for a while and said some words to her parents alone. Mom and Dad, do you know about the Moon Clan? Upon hearing these words, Ye and Zhang Xiangchuan's expressions changed. Ye asked in a trembling voice, have you remembered that the seal has been lifted? When Zhang Zilo heard this, her expression changed and she asked, what is a seal? Ye and Zhang Xiangchuan looked at each other, not knowing whether to say something or not. Mom and Dad, if you have anything, please tell me, otherwise I will be kept in the dark and won't know anything. For example, I can communicate with wolves now, but I don't know why later, I learned about the Moon Clan after getting to know him better. Also, I always dream about some vague scenes. Ye was silent for a long time, then sighed and said, it's not that we didn't tell you, it was your mother, my master, who gave the order back then. Zhang Zilo was not surprised by the information in this sentence. She just said calmly, Mom, is my mother from the Yu clan? Yes, she nodded and said, yes, she is the clan leader in charge of our Yu clan. In the Yu clan, she is respectfully called Yuji. When mentioning Yuji, Mr. Ye always looked respectful. A long time ago, there was a legend that the Moon Clan was a foreign race left by the gods in this world and had the ability to turn the world upside down. No matter what the legend is, the direct bloodline of the Moon Clan does have some abilities that mortals don't have. They can predict the weather and sense changes in dynasties. Looking at Zhang Zilo's wondering look, Ye could only continue, of course, the Yu clan also has its own rules to avoid the world. It's just that 500 or 600 years ago, in the previous dynasty, an unfavored prince was accidentally raped. He was saved by the Yu clan, but later the prince sent troops to kill the entire Yu clan. At that time, Yuji used all her abilities to protect some of her clan members, allowing the Yu clan to survive. That Yuji later left her children, and the inheritance has been passed down from generation to generation, all the way to you. You are the righteous heir of this generation of the Yu clan. Hearing this, Zhang Ziluo couldn't help but ask, could my ancestor be of the bloodline of the previous prince? Ye shook his head and said, no, it has nothing to do with the former prince. It's just strange, why can't we protect the Moon clan even though we can guess the danger? Ye said, you also know that although the Yu clan can deduce some things, it is not that easy to really change this matter. At that time, in order to protect her tribe, ancestor Yuji used all her abilities and bled to death. In order to protect the Wei family, our master also used all his abilities and even sealed your memory and abilities. But because of this, the master doesn't know whether he is alive or dead. Yes, eyes turned red when he said this. Zhang Ziluo was also shocked, why do you want to seal my memory and ability? Master probably doesn't want you to be Tsukaihame, he just wants you to live an ordinary life. Because sometimes with those abilities, you may have more things to shoulder. My master has never had it easy. He obviously loves Mr. Wei-san, your biological father, but he cannot live in the Wei family as a real Mrs. Wei-san. As Yuji, she must return to the Moon clan. Zhang Ziluo was stunned, so my mother is the third lady of the Wei mansion. Isn't she my biological mother? Yes, she shook his head and said, no, she is also Yuji's subordinate. We are all moon guards trained by Yuji. Zhang Ziluo still had doubts in her heart, what will happen if my mother doesn't return to the Yu clan? Ye said in a low voice, if you don't go back, the high priest of the Yu clan will send people to kill Yuji's concern in the world. Hearing these words, Zhang Ziluo gasped, so, you want to kill me and my father? Ye nodded attentively, that's right. Because for the Yu clan people, only if Yuji stays in the Yu clan and protects the Yu clan, can the Yu clan people survive and develop. Zhang Ziluo's expression was condensed, won't she resist? Or select a new Tsukaihame? Yes, she slowly explained, until Yuji of the Yu clan dies, she cannot choose the next Yuji. 200 years ago, Yuji resisted, but in the end, all the people Yuji cared about were killed by the high priest and her men, and no one could escape. The high priest is the most dangerous person in the Yu clan, and he is also the that the Yu clan people believe in. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyu and Candy. Chapter 394. Hearing this, Zhang Ziluo narrowed her eyes dangerously, High Priest. The High Priest is so powerful, can't he deal with it? Ye said with emotion, the High Priest's martial arts are very strong. The skills are passed down from generation to generation by the High Priests. Moreover, the High Priest is good at using ancient methods to control his subordinates. Therefore, once a conflict breaks out between Yuji and the High Priest, the entire Yu clan people will be affected, everyone will be in danger, and that is not what the master wants to see. Ye told Zhang Ziluo a lot about the Yu clan. This is the information that Ye knows. These alone are extremely useful for Zhang Ziluo. It was only now that Zhang Ziluo knew that Ye was her mother Yuji's moon guard. Zhang Xiangchuan was rescued by her mother Yueji and her father Wei Sanyi. In this way, Zhang Ziluo became even more curious about what kind of person her mother was. What kind of unique abilities do you possess? And the high priest, using ancient methods and ancient poisons. It is said that some poisons can wither all the plants in the land with just a few drops. When Zhang Ziluo thought of this, a dangerous cold light flashed across her eyes. So my mother sealed my abilities and memories because she didn't want me to be discovered by people from the Moon clan, and she also didn't want me to go back to the Moon clan. Ye nodded, well, the master also said that no matter what happens, we will not be allowed to leave the village, so we can live incognito. Tell me that if the seal is released, you will regain your abilities and memory, and you can decide what you want to do, and we cannot interfere. If you never recover your memory and the seal is never unlocked, we will pretend we don't know anything and we won't be able to tell you anything about the Moon clan. We Moon Guards must obey our master unconditionally. This is an order from the master and she must obey it. Zhang Ziluo said seriously, Mom, I understand. No matter what, you are my parents, and my younger brothers and sisters are also my younger brothers and sisters. Actually, just as her mother had arranged, without these memories, she could live peacefully in the village, which was actually peaceful and stable. It's just that she has responsibilities on her shoulders, and her memory ability has partially recovered, which means that the seal has been loosened a lot. Perhaps one day the seal will be completely lifted. But before untying it, she still had to think of a way to deal with the high priest of the Moon Clan. Zhang Ziluo had a conversation with her parents. When returning to Donghe village, Kui Hejin said on the way, there are many types of herbs in southern Xinjiang, and some herbs can restrain some poisons. Zhang Ziluo nodded and said, well, it looks like I have to go to southern Xinjiang. It's just that it's the 15th day of the first lunar month. Prepare some things and arrange all the things at home. After everything is arranged, she can handle these things with peace of mind and no worries. Kui Hejin nodded and said, okay. After returning home, Zhang Ziluo went to the space to take a look and found that no special medicinal materials emerged from the space. She can't put her hope in space. No one knows whether new things will appear in space. Still prepare to go to southern Xinjiang. Southern Xinjiang is extremely mysterious, and some inherited abilities are relatively ancient. There are many spiritual medicinal materials, which are not comparable to ordinary medicinal materials. Of course, after returning home, Zhang Ziluo started to get busy. She took out her sewing box from the space and found some copper wire from home. She planned to teach her younger sister Yunhua how to make velvet flowers when she came over tomorrow. After taking it out and preparing it, Zhang Ziluo began to draw the design of the card room again. She drew a design drawing based on the appearance of the store and how to arrange the private rooms. After finishing the painting, Zhang Ziluo took it out to Kui Kinkai and Mrs. Kui to see. He explained to them, this way, the card room will be divided into private rooms, which will provide better privacy, and the private rooms should be more spacious, so that everyone will feel comfortable playing cards in them. The kitchen at the back is where tea, refreshments, and dried fruits are prepared. Fortunately, when my mother and sister bought a shop, there was a well in the shop. Speaking of this, Mrs. Kui couldn't help but say a lot. There was a war outside at that time. We had just come out of the mountains, and many shops in the town were selling goods at very cheap prices, which were almost the processing prices. Because many people don't know whether there will still be sticks here in Bizhu, they all go south, so it's cheaper and easier to buy in shops. The store usually sells for 150 taels of silver, but when we bought it, it cost 85 taels of silver. Originally we thought about opening a store to try it out. The store we opened later sold bread, balm, and other items, and the business was very good, so we quickly bought another store. This second store is the store. It has a well, a backyard wing, and a courtyard. It's big, very complete, and it's a 2-story store. This store is bigger than the first store, but it only cost 90 taels of silver. Normally, you can't buy it at this price. Now everyone knows that there will be no war in the north, and the prices in the shops have recovered, and they are still more expensive than before. But I heard that some people ran to the south and never came back, and I don't know what happened to them. When I opened the store, I heard someone say that some people in the south were dead. I heard it is related to Nanhuang. Kui Kinkai had no good impression of that southern emperor and that princess at all. She said, I heard from businessmen from other places that the southern emperor may be dead. In a month or two, the grandson will control our entire Yun kingdom. At that time, the grandson will have the final say. Mrs. Kui said, that's good, the people can live and work in peace and contentment. Zhang Ziluo didn't know about Yun Loxiao for a long time. When we went to the south, we heard that the southern emperor arrested the people to fight. Moreover, when there were floods in the south, The Southern Emperor didn't care, officials protected each other, it was the people who did the hard work, many of them fled the famine. Mrs. Kui and Kui Kinkai turned pale when they heard the news. They sighed, it would have been better if those people had been kind enough and not gone south. However, Mrs. Kui also understood that if it weren't for Ziluo, they wouldn't have known how to hide in the mountains. After breakfast the next morning, Mrs. Kui and Kui Kinkai couldn't wait to make lip balm. Zhang Yunhua also brought Zhang Yunmen over. Zhang Yunmen mainly came here to play with her elder sister. Mrs. Kui and Kui Kinkai hurriedly brought out snacks and dried fruit candies to entertain them. Of course they also know what they are doing. Ziluo told them yesterday. Zhang Yunhua was a little embarrassed at first, for fear of causing trouble to his sister. But seeing that my sister's mother-in-law and sister-in-law are very nice people, I feel less nervous. Zhang Ziluo brought the two of them to the room. Zhang Ziluo took out scissors, colored rope, copper wire, and other things. These are all the things needed to make velvet flowers. You will learn from me later. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Candy. Chapter 395. Zhang Yunmen is not very interested in this. Sister, do I also want to learn? Zhang Ziluo smiled softly and said, if you don't want to learn, you don't have to learn. Zhang Ziluo knew that Meng Meng had a lively temperament, so she might not like it if she was asked to do things quietly. But my mother also said that learning crafts is very important for girls even in the lean years, craftsmen will not be starved to death. Zhang Ziluo flicked her head in a funny way, and said gently, you are still very young, so there is no need to rush to learn this and that, enjoy your childhood. But if you want to learn something you like, you can tell me. Zhang Yunmen's eyes lit up and she said, sister, your medical skills are so amazing. Can I learn from you? Zhang Ziluo said, of course. But I'm going on a long journey in a few days. I'll give you a book. You can read it and learn it yourself. This book contains knowledge and explanations about hundreds of medicinal herbs. You can read more and memorize them, and you will be able to recognize and identify medicinal herbs later. Lay the foundation first. Zhang Yunmen nodded seriously and said, okay, sister, I will definitely learn it seriously. Zhang Yunhua is also very serious and follows Zhang Ziluo to learn how to make velvet flowers. Look, these are fine silk threads. Clamp these threads and start thinning them with a comb. This is called combing. Zhang Ziluo explained to Zhang Yunhua while operating. Zhang Yunhua looked at it seriously and nodded. Zhang Ziluo also asked Zhang Yunhua to learn how to comb velvet. Zhang Yun's movements in painting are careful and meticulous. Zhang Ziluo saw that she had remembered it, so she took the next step. The next step is to tie the copper wire, cut the copper wire to this length, and mark the width of the wire. After the copper wire is finished, the velvet strips are cut, and then the velvet strips are rubbed. Then again, use scissors to trim, which is called sharpening. If you trim it thinner, you can also trim the shape. The velvet flowers made from silk threads of different colors are different and have different shapes. You can make them into peonies or roses. You can also design different patterns according to your own ideas, and the velvet flowers produced will be different, so that everyone wearing the velvet flowers for decoration will not look the same. The more unique the velvet flowers, the more beautiful they will be, and the more expensive they will be. I will draw some patterns for you later, and you can also learn to design patterns and paint patterns by yourself. Zhang Yunhua nodded and said, yes. Pinch out the shape, then apply glue and glue each one in place. If there are areas that need to be ironed, put some freshly burned firewood in an iron can. The heat will help iron them. Every step is meticulous work. Although Zhang Yunmen looked good looking, she became a little bored after watching it for a while. Zhang Yunhua watched almost without blinking and followed closely. This is really meticulous work. It was not until noon that a velvet flower was made. Wow, sister, this is so beautiful. Zhang Yunmen was stunned. Zhang Yunhua's eyes brightened with excitement. How happy it would be if she could make such beautiful velvet flowers. Zhang Ziluo gave Zhang Yunhua a lot of dyed threads and copper wire. You can learn to figure it out on your own, and if you don't understand, just ask me. Don't be afraid to do it, you will know how to do it if you do it more often. Zhang Yunhua said happily, "Sister, thank you." "There's no need to say thank you to my sister." The two of them were going home for dinner, but Zhang Ziluo kept them at home for dinner. Even Kui Qingkai admired the velvet flowers when they looked at them. "It's beautiful. Such beautiful velvet flowers can be sold for dozens of taels of silver in the capital." Zhang Ziluo was startled. "Is it that exaggerated?" Kui Qingkai nodded and said, "It was true before, but I don't know what the market price is now, but it will definitely not be cheap. Because when we opened the store, we rarely saw ladies wearing velvet flowers. It should be difficult to buy, or it was more popular in the capital before, and you can't see this kind of thing in the local area." Zhang Ziluo thought for a while and said, "Now that the war has just passed, people are less likely to spend such expensive silver to buy such velvet flowers, so the price can be just a few taels of silver at the beginning." Even a few taels of silver shocked Zhang Yunhua. Can such a velvet flower be so expensive? Then she will definitely make velvet flowers when she gets home. Zhang Ziluo probably saw what Zhang Yunhua was thinking, and said, "Yunhua, you have to pay attention to your eyes. You can't sit there for a long time making this, and you also have to know how to rest. You're not allowed to light an oil lamp to do this at night, you know." Zhang Yunhua nodded and said, "Okay, sister." After lunch, Zhang Yunhua and Zhang Yunmen were ready to go home. Donghe village is also very lively at this time, and many people visiting relatives to pay New Year's greetings also come to the village in ox carts or on foot. Of course, Zhang Ziluo didn't expect to see Jian Yunyan after 2 days. Zhang Ziluo was surprised to see Jian Yunyan. Hunted Jian Yunyan to talk. Zhang Ziluo could tell that Jian Yunyan looked much better. Jian Yunyan said, "Ziluo, I came here specifically to find you before, but my aunt said you have traveled far away. But I heard news about you from my brother." Zhang Ziluo raised her eyebrows and said, "What news did you hear from me?" Jian Yunyan said excitedly, "It is said that there is a heroine who used her good marksmanship to directly help Taijun defeat the enemy army and boost our morale. He also said that he killed the Lu family dog thief and saved the grandson's daughter. There are many more, but after listening to some of them, I thought they were so awesome I was wondering if it was you, because the heroine's surname is Zhang." Zhang Ziluo didn't deny it. Jian Yunyan was even more sure. She couldn't help but get excited while holding Zhang Ziluo. The eyes are full of admiration. But Jian Yunyan also told Zhang Ziluo something. It is said that County Magistrate Jian will be transferred to Bizhufukan as the prefect. This is also Taijun's order. Her eldest brother Jian Yunsai planned to take the scientific examination and become an official after his grandson ascended the throne. Thanks to you for curing my eldest brother. My parents, my eldest brother and I are all very grateful to you. Unfortunately, you are very busy and don't come to play at home very much. Before the war, the Jian family had some things that they didn't handle well, and it was hard to come to you. Now that everything has been settled, I'm not afraid of causing you any trouble, so I can come and see you." Zhang Ziluo nodded and said, "Your eldest brother is very knowledgeable. If someone hadn't framed him before, he would have been promoted to the imperial examination." She thought to herself that Yun Loxiao really needed some talents. As emperor, he will probably open up encores widely. This is also good. Jian Yunyan also told Zhang Ziluo some important news. That means Jian Yunyan is also engaged. Zhang Ziluo was surprised. "Did your parents decide to get engaged?" Jian Yunyan said, "It's Cao Lingchen's wish. My parents agree, and I agree too. When I was young, his family had always been very kind to me. Before anything happened to him he was 2 years older than me, and he always took me and coaxed me. Unfortunately, his family was framed by his enemies later. At that time, my father spent a lot of his savings to save his life. I wanted to take him back to Jian's family to take care of him, but I didn't expect that he only left a letter saying that he didn't want to implicate my father, and then left. I fell into the water last year when I was on a boat. I happened to meet him on patrol and was rescued by him. Only then did I recognize him. He is now the head of the CAO gang. The person Jian Yunyan is talking about is CAO Ling Chen, the head of the CAO gang. The CAO gang is not a small force. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Space Doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Candy. Chapter 396. When Jian Yunyan said these words, there was a bright smile on his face. Zhang Ziluo looked at her expression and was also happy for her. Jian Yunyan talked a lot, had lunch, and went back in the afternoon. During the first lunar month, many people I knew also came to pay New Year greetings, and the house was lively. Taking advantage of this time, Zhang Ziluo also made the design drawings of the card room, as well as the business plan. It happened that during the first lunar month, Zhang Ziluo also met a few girls and thought they might be hired to work in the store. But who to hire still depends on the wishes of Mrs. Kui and Kui Qingkai. After arranging many things, Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin packed up some things, prepared some things, and set off for southern Xinjiang. In order to hurry up, the Wolf King and Wolf Queen carried 2 people on their backs and ran through the forest. 2 little wolves, Zhang Ziluo placed them in the space. Perhaps because the Wolf King and Wolf Queen drank the spiritual spring water for such a long time, coupled with the space food they had eaten in the past few days, the strength and physical strength of the 2 people exceeded their limits. So a few days later, Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin arrived in southern Xinjiang. Looking at the words Nanjiang on a huge stone, Zhang Ziluo said, "This should be the boundary of Nanjiang." Kui Hejin said, "Southern Xinjiang generally does not come out of the world and has no contact with the outside world, so few people go in and out of southern Xinjiang. But there are a lot of medicinal herbs in southern Xinjiang. If some dignitaries from Yun State are looking for medicinal materials, they will send people to southern Xinjiang, but they often never come back. Most people don't dare to take risks in southern Xinjiang, so people in Yun State know very little about the news in southern Xinjiang. Although southern Xinjiang is within the scope of the Yun Kingdom, Nanjiang is not actually subject to control. Nanjiang is still managed by the clan leader of Nanjiang." Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin disguised themselves and quietly entered the southern border. They first entered a residential town in southern Xinjiang. The people in the small town here dress differently from outside, and the architectural style is different. Others are pretty much the same, and there are people selling all kinds of things. It's quite lively with people coming and going. There are many small towns like this, but Zhang Ziluo looked far away and saw a palace-like building. "That's over there. That's where the patriarch of the southern Xinjiang clan and others live." Zhang Ziluo nodded, "That is to say, it is where the dignitaries of southern Xinjiang live." Kui Hejin nodded, "Well, that's right." Zhang Ziluo wanted to explore this palace and know if her eldest brother was in it. As if he knew what Zhang Ziluo was thinking, Kui Hejin took her hand and said, "Let's stay here first and don't act rashly. That palace is heavily guarded, and the methods of some Miao girls in southern Xinjiang are beyond what you and I can think of." Zhang Ziluo also knew that some extremely talented Miao girls in southern Xinjiang were the best at witchcraft. "Then let's find a place to stay first. Zhang Ziluo is going to find a house in Yahang." Kui Hejin said, "Don't worry, I have arranged everything." When Zhang Ziluo wanted to go to southern Xinjiang before, Kui Hejin learned about it and arranged for his subordinates to go to southern Xinjiang in advance to arrange things. So naturally a residence was arranged and a lot of information was inquired about. So when Kui Hejin took Zhang Ziluo to live in a small house in the town, Zhang Ziluo admired Kui Hejin, "You are still thoughtful. The house is clean and well equipped with everything. Even the mattress is brand new and smells of sunshine, showing that it has been exposed to the sun every day." Kui Hejin said, "You are also tired. Take a shower and rest first, and then we will find a way to find my brother." Zhang Ziluo nodded. Indeed, they hardly had much rest in order to rush along the way. At the southern border, in order not to be discovered, they put the Wolf King and Wolf Queen into the space. At this moment Zhang Ziluo will release them. "Owner," Zhang Ziluo explained, "this is our residence in southern Xinjiang, you just stay here first." Zhang Ziluo also released the two little wolves and let them play with the Wolf King and Wolf Queen. Zhang Ziluo also prepared some food and water for them. Probably the space aura has a very nourishing effect. The two little wolves are growing very well, both have spiritual intelligence activated, and can communicate with Zhang Ziluo. "Master, rest." Zhang Ziluo smiled and stroked the fur of the two little wolves. "You guys have fun, but don't go out of the yard. This is southern Xinjiang, so be careful." "Don't worry, Master, we won't go out." "Yes, don't bark either." The two little wolves looked very obedient. Zhang Ziluo looked at them and couldn't help but touch their fur, they were so soft and cute. Zhang Ziluo took a bath and went to bed. Of course she called Kui Hejin together. "I'm really too sleepy and tired. I really didn't get a good night's sleep along the way." Zhang Ziluo also understood that going to her elder brother in such a mental state would probably have no effect. It is better to get enough rest before going to see your elder brother. After Kui Hejin washed up, they went to bed to sleep together. Zhang Ziluo slept from mid-afternoon until the next morning. Zhang Ziluo slept deeply this time, and felt very comfortable all over when she woke up. It was as if the spirit had suddenly recovered. Slept so well. Actually, Zhang Ziluo was also sleepy while rushing on the road. "But I can only rest for a while, and I don't have time to sleep much." Now that she has had enough sleep, Zhang Ziluo feels full of energy and energy all over her body. But when Zhang Ziluo woke up, Kui Hejin had already woken up. Breakfast has also been prepared. After breakfast, Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin disguised themselves and headed towards the palace. When they arrived at the outer perimeter quietly, they could feel that the security here was very tight. There are many guards, and their martial arts are not weak. Kui Hejin said, "Don't worry." Speaking, Kui Hejin held Zhang Ziluo in his arms, used Qinggong, quietly avoided all the guards, and entered the palace. Zhang Ziluo felt a gust of wind passing by, and the two of them arrived at the palace. The inside of the palace is different from the outside. The architectural style is beautiful and there are many carved pictures and murals. At this moment, a maid hurriedly walked inside. Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin looked at each other, and both of them followed closely. In the innermost room of the palace, the maid said respectfully, "Master Patriarch, that man is sick again. This time it seems to be very serious, the puppet goo can't suppress him." A female voice came out, "Don't let him die. The puppet goo I refined is not bad at all, but it has lost its effectiveness on him. Keep a good look at him and let the meow doctor go over and take a look. If he dies, you won't be able to live." The maids all nodded in fear, "Yes, Patriarch." After the people left, the woman got up and walked towards a place. Kui Hejin and Zhang Ziluo followed quietly. Zhang Ziluo even used wood-type powers to cover their bodies, hiding their auras and preventing them from being discovered. Then they saw the so-called Patriarch enter the back bedroom, open a secret passage, and enter the secret passage. Zhang Ziluo was thoughtful. "Why do I feel that Meng Meng looks a bit like this person? Zhang Ziluo is talking about Jiao Meng Meng. In the past 2 days, my stomach hurts and my head hurts. I have no mental uncomfortable. I took medicine. Today, I am better. The update is a bit late. Fortunately, there are guarantees to update every day. This book is almost over. The Space Doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Candy. Chapter 397. When Zhang Ziluo realized this, she was shocked. She was really afraid that this woman was Qiao Mingmeng's mother. In that case, this person must have deceived his elder brother, right? But why did she lie to her eldest brother? Zhang Ziluo's expression condensed. She looked at Kui Hejin and said, "Let's follow." Kui Hejin said in a low voice, "If you follow her rashly like this, you will easily be discovered if you open the mechanism, and it will be easy to scare the snake. After she comes out, let's find a time to go into the secret room and take a look." Zhang Ziluo nodded and said, "Okay. This is indeed not the time to be impulsive." The two people watched quietly. About half an hour later, the patriarch came out. Zhang Ziluo also had to admit that this woman was beautiful, but it was a pity that the anger in this woman's eyes ruined the overall beauty. She came out in a fierce manner and kicked down the table and chair next to her. After a while, she calmed down her anger and left. Zhang Ziluo used her mental power to detect and confirm that she had left. Then she and Kui Hejin stepped forward to reopen the mechanism and walked inside. There was a long corridor inside. After passing the corridor, they came to a gate. This gate also has a mechanism. Kui Hejin is good at mechanism skills and stepped forward to open the mechanism. When the gate opened, they saw a woman sitting in the lotus pond, bleeding all over her body. They were all shocked when they saw this woman. In fact, this woman is exactly the same as the woman who was outside just now. She seemed to hear something, and she slowly opened her eyes. She was slightly surprised to see two strangers. She said weakly, "Who are you?" Zhang Ziluo didn't know who this woman was, let alone her identity, so naturally she couldn't reveal her identity at will. "We came here by chance. Sister, do you need us to rescue you?" The woman shook her head and said weakly, "It's useless. This is a cold lock unique to southern Xinjiang. It can't be opened without a key. What's more, Tatsuro is still in her hands." As she spoke, the woman had tears in her eyes, a look of despair and helplessness. "Tatsuro," the woman said, "he is the most important person to me. I know you are not from southern Xinjiang. Maybe you were captured by my sister, or maybe you came here by mistake and are looking for something. No matter what you want, I can get it for you. But as long as you can help me rescue Tatsuro." The woman could feel that she was losing too much blood and her body was getting weaker. She might not be able to hold on anymore, but she couldn't let Tatsuro die. Her Tatsuro. Chen. Her eldest brother's name is Wei Hanchen. Could it be her eldest brother? Zhang Ziluo's expression changed. Looking at the woman's appearance, she felt that Jiao Mingmeng's eyebrows were somewhat similar to this woman's. But even so, Zhang Ziluo couldn't believe her rashly. "Then you were arrested by your sister? I think she looks exactly like you. Are they twins?" The woman chuckled and said, "No, she is a concubine. She looks a bit like me. She is very good at disguise. Now she also uses the art of disguise to pretend to be me and control the southern Xinjiang clan." Zhang Ziluo said, "Then we can help you get out. If everyone knows that you are the real one, we may be able to help you regain control of the southern Xinjiang clan, so that we can get what we want." The woman shook her head and said, "No, she has learned the secret technique and controlled many people. If Chen Lang is not rescued, I dare not act rashly. If I do, she will kill Chen Lang. When we were passing by, a maid reported that someone was sick and something was about to happen. Listen to what your sister said, even the puppet goo can't suppress him." When the woman heard these words, she seemed to be so angry that she spit out a mouthful of blood. "How dare she, how dare she!" The woman was so mad with hatred that her whole body was trembling. The cold chains on his body were shaking back and forth. It was only then that Zhang Ziluo discovered that there was an icy cold lock in the lotus pond, locking the woman's bones. The cold chain extends all the way to the bottom of the pool. She clearly said she didn't hurt him, she just locked him up. The woman's eyes were full of hatred. Zhang Ziluo looked at her like this and said, "Is your sister using him to control you? Otherwise, she would never have used me or used my blood. Her practicing the secret skills of the southern Xinjiang clan has already gone too far. If I hadn't used my blood to suppress her, she would have become possessed and out of control." Miao Lengshuang said coldly, "If she dares to hurt Chen Lang in the slightest, I will risk my life and kill her." Hearing this, Zhang Ziluo probably guessed the woman's identity. "More than 10 years ago, you picked up and saved a person at the border. That person was your Tatsuro, right?" Miao Lengshuang looked at Zhang Ziluo with shocked and incredulous eyes. "How do you want her to know?" But she couldn't bear to ask anything. She can't say she can't reveal anything involving Tatsuro. But looking carefully at the appearance of the woman in front of her, she thought of a possibility. "Tatsuro has a very smart sister." Zhang Ziluo said, "His sister's name has Luo in it." "You." Miao Lenshuang realized something and her eyes instantly turned red. Zhang Ziluo nodded and said, "Well, his sister is still alive, and I am Wei King Luo. We are here to find our eldest brother Wei Hanshan." Miao Lenshuang burst into tears when she heard the words Wei Hanshan. "I was the one who harmed him. If it weren't for me, he wouldn't be trapped here in southern Xinjiang. He would be very happy to know that you are still alive and that his sister is still alive. He often talks to me about his sister." "That's great, you're still alive." Miao Lengshuang looked at Zhang Ziluo and was very happy. "Although I have never thought about what you look like before, I think you should be like this, beautiful, intelligent, dazzling and confident." Miao Lengshuang didn't even know what words to use to describe it. Zhang Ziluo said, "Sister-in-law, let me introduce you formally. I am Wei King Luo, and this is my husband Kui Hejin." Miao Lengshuang burst into tears when she heard the word sister-in-law. "Sister, thank you for being willing to recognize me as your sister-in-law." Zhang Ziluo said, "Sister-in-law, don't belittle yourself. You are very good. I know you saved my eldest brother. If you hadn't saved my eldest brother on the battlefield, he wouldn't have survived at all." Miao Lengshuang said, "It's a pity that I went too late and couldn't save the rest of the Wei family. We are very excited that our eldest brother is alive. Sister-in-law, you and your eldest brother's child." Speaking of this, Miao Lengshuang felt a pang in her heart. "If I hadn't been hunted down by everyone in the Miao border, I wouldn't have sent my daughter to the Yun kingdom to arrange for someone to protect her." Zhang Ziluo said, "Meng Meng is fine, don't worry." Hearing the word Meng Meng, Miao Lengshuang became even more sure. "Is she still in Bizhu?" Miao Lengshuang remembered that Chen Lang sent Meng Meng to Bizhu Academy. Zhang Ziluo explained, "She is with His Highness the grandson now. Don't worry, she is fine and fine. It's because of my physical constitution that I need the fragrant purple dill grass from southern Xinjiang to heal my body." The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 398. As soon as Miao Lengshuang heard this, she blamed herself. "It's all my fault when she was chasing us." Miao Kaoyan released the southern Xinjiang Malaxiang, which caused Meng Meng's physical condition to be like this. "Don't worry, I know where the fragrant violet is. Do you have any paper?" Zhang Ziluo quickly took out a piece of paper. Miao Lengshuang was about to dip her hand in blood to draw something, but Zhang Ziluo hurriedly gave him a pen. Miao Lengshuang quickly drew a map on the paper. "This is the map structure of the palace in southern Xinjiang, and this is the nearby map. This is an abandoned mountain range. Behind it is a cliff. It seems abandoned, but it is full of precious medicinal materials. There used to be fragrant violet grass, but I don't know if it still exists now. Now Miao Kaiyan may be practicing with the fragrant violet grass. I don't know if there is such a herb over there. If not, I may have to go to the cliff to take a look. The fragrant violet grass grows easily on the stone layers of the land over there. This has something to do with the quality of the soil in that place. After reading the map, Zhang Zhiluo quickly memorized it in her mind. After Miao Lengshuang painted these, she seemed to have spent a lot of energy and started to cough. Ahem. Miao Lengshuang coughed violently. As soon as she coughed, the cold locks started to ring. Her face was pale and she seemed to be in severe pain from the cold. Sister-in-law, let me help you take a look. Zhang Zhiluo jumped to the lotus pond and saw the cold locks on Miao Lengshuang's body. She felt the coldness as she approached slightly. In terms of time, according to what Yun Loxiao said, Miao Lengshuang and her eldest brother were imprisoned in southern Xinjiang for 2 or 3 years. In other words, Miao Lengshuang was locked in a cold lock for 2 or 3 years. Sister-in-law, how can you bear such cold weather? Don't worry, Miao Kaiyan won't let me die. She will appear every once in a while and give me fire herbs, which can resist the cold for a period of time. She also needs my blood, cough cough. Zhang Zhiluo's expression condensed and she said, Sister-in-law, I can try to help you remove the cold lock. She should be able to use the wood ability. No, no need. Sister-in-law, believe me, I can do it. Today's wood type abilities are naturally not comparable to the wood type abilities of the past. Zhang Zhiluo is confident that she can remove the cold lock and then use the wood power to heal her sister-in-law's body. Sister-in-law has no other physical problems, she just suffered from excessive blood loss and serious injuries. In this case, it is better to use the wood power to heal. No, once Miao Kaiyan finds out, it will be dangerous if she does anything to Chen Lang. As long as I find Tatsuro and rescue him, I will have nothing to fear and no worries. Looking at Miao Lengshuang's determined expression, Zhang Zhiluo could see the deep love for her elder brother in her eyes. Miao Lenshuang was very afraid that something would happen to Wei Hanchen. That concubine of hers was the most ruthless. Seeing Miao Lengshuang's firm expression, Zhang Zhiluo could only nod her head and said, Okay, let's find my eldest brother first. Miao Lengshuang looked at Zhang Zhiluo with trusting eyes and said, Thank you for the hard work. Miao Lengshuang had heard Wei Hanchen say before that his sister was smart and spiritual. She said a lot, so when I saw that she was still alive, although I was shocked, I was even more excited. Such a smart woman can indeed do well. Furthermore, Miao Lengshuang also believed in Wei Qingluo's abilities. Seeing Wei Qingluo appear, Miao Lengshuang felt relieved. It seems that as long as she is here, many things can be solved. Miao Lenshuang felt that her tense spirit could relax for a moment. There are still people in the Wei family alive, Wei Hanchen must be very happy and excited. Even Miao Lengshuang looked at Zhang Zhiluo with tears in her eyes. She was happy for the Wei family. But despite this, Zhang Zhiluo still put her hand on Miao Lengshuang's back. A powerful wood-type supernatural power poured into Miao Lengshuang's body. At that moment, Miao Lengshuang felt that the pain in her body was relieved, and her whole body seemed to be wrapped in a warmth, which made her feel very comfortable. There is no cold or pain anymore. The body seems to have strength. Younger sister. Sister-in-law, don't move. I know some medical skills and can help you treat it. Miao Lengshuang also felt incredible in her heart. Sister is really helpful. She is from the southern Xinjiang clan and has been trained as the clan leader since childhood, but she has never seen such superb medical skills. This is a cold lock. Her injuries were caused by cold locks and there was no way to treat her. You can only use fire grass to resist the cold. Unexpectedly, she really felt that her body had recovered a lot at this time, and she even recovered some of her skills. Miao Lengshuang's eyes widened and she felt very incredible. What a magical effect! Sister, it's okay, I feel much better. Miao Lengshuang was afraid of having an impact on Wei King Gluo. I don't know what method she used, but I'm afraid it will have some impact on Wei King Gluo's body. Sister-in-law, drink this again. Zhang Ziluo took out the water bag, which was filled with spiritual spring water. After drinking it, Miao Lengshuang's health will also be better. Miao Lengshuang drank the Lingquan water and felt that the quality of the water was very different. The water has a sweet taste. And after drinking it, a warm current seemed to surge up in his body, washing over his limbs. Although he was surprised, Miao Lengshuang didn't ask anything. Sister-in-law, if we find and rescue the eldest brother, we will come to rescue you. So no matter what, you have to be good. Miao Lengshuang nodded and said, Sister, don't worry. After saying some more words, Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin left. The two of them returned to their residence first and studied the map. Of course, with this map, it will be easier for the two of them to come back from the palace. It's true what my sister-in-law said about places where there are guards easily. In this way, we can avoid the guards when we go to the back mountain. Zhang Ziluo said, we still need to find my eldest brother, but there are no clues at all. As if thinking of something, Zhang Ziluo said, by the way, that maid must know where the elder brother is. But that maid is Miao Kaoyuan's personal maid, and she lives in the palace. If we find her, it will be easy to alert her. Kui Hejin is more cautious. When it comes to the safety of brother Zhang Ziluo, they don't dare to take it lightly. Zhang Ziluo took out something. This is the hairpin on my sister-in-law's hair. It was carved by my eldest brother himself. It has the aura of my eldest brother on it. You can ask Xiao Xiaobai to help. Xiao is the Wolf King and Xiaobai is the Wolf Queen. Speaking, Zhang Ziluo released the two wolves. Xiaobai, this hairpin was made by my eldest brother for my sister-in-law. This hairpin has the scent of my sister-in-law, but we were wondering if you could smell my eldest brother's scent and help find my eldest brother. Although these hairpins were carved 2 or 3 years ago. Master, we may not have been able to do it before, but we can do it now. They have drank so much spiritual spring water and stayed in the owner's space for so long that they are more sensitive to smells. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Space Doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Candy. Chapter 399. Upon hearing these words, Zhang Ziluo was very excited and happy. Zhang Ziluo happily touched the hair on the Wolf King and Wolf Queen and said, if so, thank you for your hard work. In this way, the Wolf King and Wolf Queen began to search along the scent after smelling it carefully. Zhang Ziluo originally wanted to stay with the Wolf King and the Wolf Queen. But the Wolf King said, Master, wait until we find the location of the breath, and then tell the master. Zhang Ziluo thought for a while, nodded and said, that's fine, but you have to pay attention to safety. Safety is our top priority. This is southern Xinjiang, not our territory, and some people in southern Xinjiang are good at witchcraft, so you must be careful. If you encounter danger, avoid it quickly and come back quickly. Zhang Ziluo was also afraid that the Wolf King and Wolf Queen would be in danger, so she couldn't help but give them a few more words. The Wolf King and Wolf Queen listened carefully and nodded. Master, don't worry. As long as they enter the mountains and forests, they are good at hiding their whereabouts. And there are many mountains, forests, and trees in southern Xinjiang, and they know how to do it. Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin went back to the small house to stay. Waiting for the news first. Originally, she planned to find the fragrant violet grass as Miao Lengshuang said. But I was worried that the Wolf King and Wolf Queen would find the place and come back without seeing them. Zhang Ziluo thought that even if they found the fragrant violet grass first and didn't find the big brother, they would not leave southern Xinjiang. So the key is to find the big brother first. Moreover, they are also worried that if the Wolf King and Wolf Queen are in danger and ask for help from them, if they are not in the house, they will not be able to save the Wolf King and Wolf Queen in time. So Kui Hejin and Zhang Ziluo stayed in the house temporarily. Even so, Zhang Ziluo couldn't stay idle. Let's make something delicious first. Prepare some food for the Wolf King, Wolf Queen, and 2 little wolves. Zhang Ziluo said and took out some meat from the space. Stew with seasonings and the soup with lingquan water. The meat stewed in this way tastes better. Wolves like to eat this kind of meat. After finishing it, Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin made dumplings. Zhang Ziluo discovered that Kui Hejin actually liked eating dumplings. So if you have time, you can make dumplings to pass the time. While making dumplings, Zhang Ziluo was thinking about something and said, I don't know what special food there is in southern Xinjiang. If there are special foods, she can learn them and bring them back to Bizhu to open a shop or something. After everything here is settled and the Wei family's revenge is avenged, we will go home. If you want to go to the academy to study, go to the academy to study. If you want to do business, do business. If you want to stay at home, just stay at home. I will support you in whatever you want to do. This is the first time Zhang Ziluo has said such a thing. Actually, these words were in her heart before. In this life, she originally wanted to be good to Kui Hejin. Just because of her special status in this life, after recovering some memories, she had to shoulder her own responsibilities. It also made Kui Hejin a lot busier. Kui Hejin's mind moved, a soft luster appeared in his eyes, and he said, as long as you are by my side, I can do anything. Zhang Ziluo said, you should also make some plans for the Kui family. Some things have to be solved, such as why the Pei family bullies Kui Qingkai so much. For example, those aristocratic families once made trouble for the Kui family. Although Kui Hejin did not talk about these things, Mrs. Kui and Kui Qingkai had mentioned them before. These things will make people hold their breath. Kui Hejin said with a smile, okay. As if whatever she said, he would agree to it with good temper. You have to do what you want to do, and I also want you to be happy. As for her mother's matter, she naturally wants to investigate the Moon clan. It's just that she also has to think more about Kui Hejin. Kui Hejin thought, perhaps it is time to restore the Kui family's former status. For no other reason, at least not to let his family's Ziluo be wronged. What others have, his Ziluo will have. If he makes achievements as an official, he can earn a royal title for her. Of course now he is no longer the crown prince of Kui Kuagong. If he wants to be an official, he can only pass the scientific examination. After Yun Loxiao became emperor, he needed manpower to do things, so he must open up Enk extensively. Talents selected through the imperial examination can officially enter the court. Kui Hejin said softly, okay. Zhang Ziluo looked at his good-tempered look and once again thought of him in the previous life. Kui Hejin saw her dazed look and his mind moved. This is not the first time she has shown such a look. It was as if she was looking at someone through him. Kui Hejin looked slightly condensed, but said nothing. After making the dumplings, they eat them. At night, the Wolf King and Wolf Queen came back. As soon as Zhang Ziluo saw them coming back, she quickly let them eat first. Let's rest first and eat something before we talk. Even Zhang Ziluo could tell that they looked a little tired. Isn't it difficult to travel through the mountains and forests in southern Xinjiang? There are some miasma and some poisonous insects and poisonous weeds. Zhang Ziluo was a little worried, so she gave the Wolf King and Queen a look first to make sure there was nothing wrong. Let them drink some spiritual spring water to regain some physical strength. The Wolf King hurriedly said, Master, I found it. We found the place where the breath was coming. It was very strong and we heard a strange crashing sound. Zhang Ziluo's heart suddenly rose and she asked excitedly, "Where is it?" At the thought that she would soon find her eldest brother, Zhang Ziluo couldn't hold back her excitement. The Wolf King said, "On a cliff." Zhang Ziluo's expression changed. "Why is it a cliff?" Kui Hejin held Zhang Ziluo's hand and said, "Don't be anxious yet." Kui Hejin then took out the map drawn by Miao Langshuang. Then he showed it to the Wolf King. "This is a map near the Miao Palace. There are cliffs in these places." "Which cliff are you talking about?" Kui Hejin pointed to the place on the map and explained how to read the map. The Wolf King pointed at a place on the map with his paw. "That's it?" We felt the breath coming from below the cliff, but the cliff was too steep and we couldn't get close to the cliff wall. The Wolf Queen added, "There should be a cave under the cliff, and some sounds came from there." Kui Hejin and Zhang Ziluo looked at the direction of the map they were pointing at and looked at each other with shocked expressions. It was actually the place pointed by the Wolf King and the Wolf Queen, and also the place where the fragrant violet grass that Miao Langshuang told them was located. Turned out to be a place. Zhang Ziluo's expression condensed and she said decisively, "We will go there immediately." Speaking, Zhang Ziluo hurriedly asked the Wolf King and Wolf Queen to eat. "You eat something first, and then go into the space to rest. I will release you when I need you." The Wolf King and the Wolf Queen spent the whole day looking for the place, drank the spiritual spring water and ate, and their physical strength was instantly restored. However, after the master knows the place, they don't need to lead the way for the time being. Zhang Ziluo put them into the space, packed them up with Kui Hejin, and set off. Two people were walking through the night wearing night clothes without being noticed. Moreover, they had Miao Langshuang's previous instructions and knew where the guards usually hid, so they avoided these guards. Heading towards the cliff over there. They were moving very fast. Kui Hejin used Qinggong to lead Zhang Ziluo at a fast pace. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 400. About 2 hours later, they arrived at the most secluded and rear cliff in southern Xinjiang. Along the way, Zhang Ziluo also discovered many rare medicinal materials in this area. Zhang Ziluo was a little shocked. There are such rare and precious medicinal materials in southern Xinjiang. Zhang Ziluo's eyes lit up when she saw these medicinal materials. "I wish I could pick them right away and put some space in them to take back." However, Zhang Ziluo also remembered the main reason for coming here. Kui Hejin understood her thoughts as soon as he heard her speak. He held her and gently landed on the cliff and said, "Don't worry, we will pick it again when we have time." Kindness. Kui Hejin put down Zhang Ziluo, walked a few steps forward, came to the edge of the cliff, looked down and said, "This should be the place the Wolf King and Wolf Queen mentioned." Zhang Ziluo also looked a little solemn and said, "Xiao Xiao Bai said there should be a cave down there. I'll go down and have a look." Kui Hejin gently pulled Zhang Ziluo and said, "Wait a moment, I'll go down first." As he spoke, Kui Hejin knelt down and listened to the sound. There was indeed a strange sound, like the sound of chains hitting the wall. Upon hearing these words, Zhang Ziluo realized something and her heart tugged hard. Speaking, he was about to climb down the cliff. But the cliff here is too steep, and Kui Hejin is not at ease at all. He stopped Zhang Ziluo and said, "Obey, I'll go down first." There are often some invisible dangers on such cliffs, and medicinal materials such as fragrant violet often have animals guarding them, and perhaps snakes and insects. In short, Kui Hejin wanted to explore the way first. "But I don't want you to be in danger either." How could Zhang Ziluo be willing to let Kui Hejin take risks? Kui Hejin gently touched her hair and said, "Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'll go down first. If everything's okay, you can come down with us." Zhang Ziluo said, "I also want to protect you." "Fool, I am your husband, I should protect you." Kui Hejin was very insistent. Zhang Ziluo had no choice but to let Kui Hejin go down first. Kui Hejin jumped down, then stuck his dagger on the stone wall to use his strength to go down. However, he did see venomous snakes climbing on the edge of the cliff, surrounding a huge fragrant violet. It seemed to feel something, and it suddenly wanted to move. Before it could make any move, Kui Hejin flicked it with his fingers. The snake died and fell down. There was also a huge eagle that flew up from below and was about to attack Kui Hejin. Kui Hejin quickly shot out a dagger. Kill the flying eagle directly. After clearing the danger all the way, Kui Hejin arrived at a cave in the middle of the cliff. After entering the cave, Kui Hejin walked inside. Then he saw a man locked in the innermost part of the cave. He could barely see the man's appearance. The man's flesh and blood were mangled, and his hair was messy, covering his entire face. Kui Hejin quickly came to him. The man seemed to feel something and began to move violently, and the chains on his body began to hit lightly. Zhang Ziluo was waiting anxiously on top of the cliff. Kui Hejin came up after a while. Zhang Ziluo grabbed his hand and said, "How's it going?" "It should be your eldest brother Wei Hanjin, I'll take you down first." Zhang Ziluo's heart was lifted, and she couldn't help but get excited. "Have you really found your big brother? Hurry, let's go down first." "Good." Kui Hejin knew how to get to the cave, so this time he directly put his arm around Zhang Ziluo's waist, jumped down with her in his arms, and came to the middle of the cave. When she went in and saw the man chained up, Zhang Ziluo's eyes soared uncontrollably and tears fell out when she thought that this man might be her eldest brother. Big brother. The big brother she remembered as high-spirited and handsome has become like this. Even though my eldest brother has grown up now, my appearance in my memory has not changed much. Zhang Ziluo quickly stepped forward, lifted his hair, and when she saw his appearance, she said excitedly, "Brother, it's really you." Wei Hanjin looked at Zhang Ziluo with unfamiliar eyes, as if he didn't recognize her. He opened his mouth and wanted to speak, but his voice was hoarse. "You, who are you?" "Brother, I am King Gluo, I am your sister." Wei Hanjin looked weak and confused. "Sister? Brother, you remember Miao Lengshuang, right?" Wei Hanjin also looked dazed. "Very familiar. It's a very familiar name, but I can't remember it." When Wei Hanjin thought about it, his head felt like it was going to explode, and he felt severe pain. "Brother, you always remember your own name, right?" Who am I? Who I am?" Wei Hanjin seemed to be stimulated by something and began to struggle, his throat whimpering like a wounded beast. Seeing him like this, Zhang Ziluo calmed down instantly. Kui Hejin said, "He may have been stimulated by some kind of stimulation, or Miao Qiuyan may have used some Miao Zhang magic to make him lose his memory." She wanted to reach out and feel her eldest brother's pulse to see how he was doing. But he was struggling fiercely, as if resisting the approach of others. Like a wounded beast ready to bite at any time. Looking at her elder brother like this, Zhang Ziluo's eyes turned red and sore. Zhang Ziluo wanted to fix him with a silver needle, but she couldn't bear it. Facing the eldest brother who has doted on her since childhood, Zhang Ziluo couldn't bear to do it even if she wanted to knock him out. Kui Hejin sighed lightly, stepped forward and tapped Wei Hanjin's acupuncture points directly with his internal strength. Kui Hejin said warmly, "Don't worry, I just tapped his sleeping hole, and he just fell asleep." Zhang Ziluo nodded. "I just couldn't do anything to my eldest brother." "I see. His Ziluo looks neat in doing things, but in fact she is the softest when facing her relatives." Zhang Ziluo stretched out her hand to feel Wei Hanjin's pulse. She was shocked when she felt the pulse. Brother, not only was he poisoned by the puppet poison, but he also had a mess of drugs on him. So cruel. The people who attack eldest brother are so cruel. A cold light with murderous intent flashed across Zhang Ziluo's eyes. Kui Hejin said, "If this is the case, Your eldest brother may be used as a tool. Someone wants to refine him into a puppet. If the puppet goo doesn't work, then use medicine. I have read some records of the secret techniques of southern Xinjiang. There was indeed a method of refining puppets in southern Xinjiang before. There is also a medicine person. Zhang Ziluo was still frightened when she heard this. Maybe it's because these things destroyed his memory and caused him to lose a lot of memory. But my eldest brother hasn't completely lost his mind yet. My eldest brother was raised as the heir of the Wei family and received the most rigorous training. I remember my grandpa said that the most important thing for the Wei family is willpower training. You must have strong willpower. Kui Hejin said attentively, if you really become a medicine man, it will be dangerous. Zhang Ziluo said, brother is not a medicine man yet, and those medicines have only played a part of the role. Fortunately, there is still hope. End of this chapter.